Hello, this is Bill Cherkasky from Dark in the Park, and on March 22nd, 2025, I visited the Carousel at Pottstown, located at 30 West King Street in Pottstown, PA. This is only open on Saturdays from 12 to 4. It used to be open on Sundays, but they had the cutback hours. When you come into the building, you go into the gift shop and also where you buy the tickets. Tickets to ride this are really inexpensive. I think it's only $2 to ride it, maybe $3. Really inexpensive. Inside the gift shop, there's this painting of Derek S. Saylor, who the Carousel is in honor of. He's a young boy that died at 13 months from meningitis, and his parents, Mark and Donna Saylor, donated the first $100,000 to start with the restoration of this carousel. Inside the Carousel building, they have these neat pinball machines, and I played a couple of them. They're really in good condition. And the first time I was at this carousel, maybe 10 years ago, I brought my kids. They didn't have any of these arcade games in there. You can also have a party at the carousel, and that's what they're getting ready for right there. Somebody rented the space for their kid's birthday party. Now, around the catering area, they have all these newspaper articles about the restoration of the carousel and some historic information about the carousel and pictures. Here's an old picture of it when they started the restoration. They have some of these old carousel horses. I don't know where they came from. And they have this band organ. Unfortunately, they do not have a working band organ. This one does not work. That's really the only thing that I was disappointed about. I like to come to a carousel and they have a working Wurlitzer band organ. It just adds to the atmosphere. Now, they do have this 1860 horse-drawn trolley car that they turned into a snack shop. I'll read a little bit about the history of this carousel. It was built by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company in 1905 and designated as PTC number 9. At that time, it had no moving animals and no chariots, according to the PTC archives. The animals were configured in rows of 3 across. It first debuted at Euclid Beach Park in Cleveland, Ohio. It was the first carousel used at the park until 1909. It then moved to Laurel Springs Amusement Park in Hartford, Connecticut. The carousel remained there until 1925 in its original configuration. In 1925, it returned to the PTC factory and was updated with jumping animals and 2 chariots. In 1926, it was relabeled PTC number 74R and placed at Kauffman's Park, Mount Gretna, PA, and remained there only until 1935. In 1935, the carousel found a new home at Twin Grove Park in Pine Grove, PA. Records show that sometime in the early 80s it was dismantled, its original animals and decorations were sold at auction, and its remaining remnants laid in storage in Dallastown, PA. Then in 1999, a small group of Pottstown residents conceived a plan to help revitalize the town with a community carousel. Fundraising began and the carousel remnants were purchased. The building housing the carousel was obtained and refurbished thanks to donations, sponsorships, and grants. The operating mechanism was updated and restored by local machinists and mechanics. New horses and animals were commissioned from Ed Roth, a master sculptor who also carved animals for carousels at Disney parks. Each custom carved figure took local artists over 250 hours to sand, paint, and finish. After 22 years of labor, the carousel was rebuilt and restored by the wondrous efforts of many volunteers, donors, and sponsors. And this now is the second oldest PTC carousel that's operating. Although it's just the mechanism that is the oldest. Remember, the horses and figures that are on the carousel were all remade, but they were remade based on pictures of the original animals. Now, all these paintings on the carousel are actually of local Pottstown buildings, and that's pretty neat. It brings a little of the local history to the carousel. Now, it must have really cost a lot of money to remake all those animals on the carousel, and each animal has a nameplate of the sponsor, who I guess paid the bulk of the money to build that new animal. This is the original motor and gear system that ran the carousel, and they updated the system that's on there now. And they have some other figurines in the building. I'm not sure of the history of these different characters.
All right, there you go.
Well, here I am riding the carousel.
Enjoy. All right.
I'm gonna pick out my animal. Of course, I'm gonna get a jumping animal. The guy told me that the animals that have the feet up in the air are jumpers. The ones with the feet down, all the feet down, do not jump. I'm certainly not going to sit in the chariot. Now, they do have seat belts on these horses, but luckily they don't have adults put those on. That would be really annoying. I don't like it when I have to wear a seat belt on an old carousel, or a new carousel for that matter. Now, this part here with the windows, that was an addition onto this building. This building was originally like a machine shop in Pottstown for welding metal parts. And those windows look out to a golf course, a miniature golf course that is out there. And we've played at that miniature golf course many times. It's actually a nice course. So if you're in the Pottstown area, you could come out to ride this carousel and play miniature golf, assuming it's in the spring or summer season. The golf course, of course, wouldn't be open in the winter, but the carousel is open year-round on Saturdays. Unfortunately, there weren't more people there. I would like to see more people riding this, but I guess there's not enough to do in Pottstown for people to come a distance to just ride this carousel. But I guess once the birthday party started in there, there was probably, a lot more people riding it. I guess part of the package is they let them ride it a certain number of times. I'm not quite sure about that. You can see some of the nameplates there on the ground for the main sponsors for rebuilding the horses. Now, these horses, these restored horses, are beautiful. They're wood, they're carved. And I guess it's the next best thing from them actually finding all the horses that were sold at auction, which would be near impossible to do. But I do respect the fact that they used pictures of those original horses when they had these new horses built. So my hat's off to them. My ride is coming to an end, and that's going to do it for my visit to the Carousel at Pottstown. So if you're in the Pottstown area, stop by and ride the carousel. It's certainly worth the $2 admission. For Dark in the Park, this is Bill Cherkasky.